It's Ginny and Tim at DS Tech in Escanaba, Michigan, and we're going to talk about the latest McDonald's breach, which is a little bit scary. So if you have young people that are applying for jobs and looking for places like that to work, put them on alert. We got some information here. Yeah. Stay till the end because we got information to help you out in your hiring process and stuff like that. And it's always the same advice. Pay attention. So drop your comments and your questions, and let's get into it. What happened at McDonald's?
So this talks about, basically there was a leak or a breach in the McDonald's hiring system process in a sense. So basically imagine you're in a tough spot. You're applying for a fast food job just to make ends meet. You fill out your application online, and the next thing you know, your personal info is now floating around in the dark web. Why? Well, the AI assistant handling your job application was protected with the worst password of all time, 123456. So this actually happened. There was a company called Paradox AI that built a hiring assistant named Olivia, used by McDonald's and other major chains. So researchers discovered that millions of applicant records were exposed through poor security controls. We're talking names, phone numbers, addresses, all private chat logs with AI were all vulnerable because of one sloppy decision. So basically think of this, you go to McDonald's website, you click hire here. It's not like you just get a job application anymore. There may be some preliminary questions or they ask you prior to even giving you the job application. So like that little interaction with the chat bot, getting some information about you prior to, all that information was essentially scraped and taken away. So the backend system used by the AI hiring assistant had default credentials and not even complex ones. 1 through 6 is usually banned by most modern systems because of how easily it can be guessed. So as a tip, if your passwords are short, easy to remember, use a password manager for most of your accounts. It's just a good reminder that, typically as humans, we like to reuse passwords. So even if you have like a little naming scheme, usually you're adding a number and it's kind of like your other passwords from portals. So you're better off just using a password manager, and then you can store all of your stuff into that. That's what I actually do. Yep. I like it because at first I was resistant. I'm like, I like knowing my passwords and I don't want to rely on this program because if the program breaks, I'm locked out. That's a fear that you can just easily get over when you finally start using it because once you start, it's so much more convenient. I definitely recommend password managers.
And you don't have to remember one password.
Exactly. You make your super long, crazy password phrase for your super secure password to get in, but then beyond that, and it's much easier to then manage because you have all your passwords in one spot once you get into that. So
yeah.
There's this kind of going back to the story here, kind of talks about a bigger problem is that AI hiring is already the norm, that this wasn't a one-off deal, that over 90% of McDonald's franchises reportedly use this AI hiring platform. That means we're not just dealing with a technical flaw, but it's a large systemic issue where applicants were screened by the algorithm before a human even sees their name. And then if the system gets compromised, your information isn't lost. It could be used against you by bad actors, where someone might come back to you. Like I just imagine you're a bad actor and you have all this applicant data. You're going to go to these people and say, hey, guess what? You're hired. Now I need to get your social security number and a photo ID. Please send the rest of your information over and we'll get your application. I could see them using this in a bad way of continuing to fish these people's.
How do you know if okay, so let's say you're the person that put the application in.
Yep.
And they do reach out.
Yep.
How do you know that it's not actually McDonald's?
I would just call it official, I could go to McDonald's website, try to get an official number from McDonald's website and call that number. Never just assume the incoming call. It's kind of like what we do at business. If someone calls you with a weird request, you're like, well, 99% chance this is probably okay, but I apologize. I'm going to call you right back. And you let them go. You find their official number and you try to call and verify who it was and that they're reaching out to you. Is the way I would do it. And it's hard because as a big franchise like that, McDonald's website, you're going to get some random corporate number, right? You might be better off reaching out to your local McDonald's that you applied for. Yeah. I'm assuming, again, I don't know the process. I haven't worked at fast food in a while, but like say you get your application during that questionnaire, the AI bot screening is probably asking you like, where do you live? What state do you live? Because it's probably trying to find a location close to you, gives you your information, some basic information, and then it pawns off that and probably routes it to the proper McDonald's franchise to get the application. So my thought is just circumvent that process, go directly to your local McDonald's and try to just verify that they did try to reach back out to you. And
yeah, I could see you just walk in and say, hey, I got this message, or
right, is this from you guys, is this real or not, and just talk to them and be like,
I applied, so that's real. But yeah.
And so and they may not know, the manager on file there may not have part of the hiring process and not know, but it's worth going in and asking that question and trying to verify with the right sources.
They might be able to know.
And then they'll be able to run it up the chain. If they can't immediately help you, they will find out someone for you.
Perfect.
So kind
Pain
of
in the butt, but it's the way it is these
that's
days.
just, yeah.
So
Another takeaway talks about how AI can be a sabotaging tool, where again, with widespread use and shared backend systems, it's entirely possible for bad actors or even a rival franchise owner to sabotage competitors' hiring processes by deleting applications, auto-approving yourself, messing with hiring funnels. It's not just cyber, it's a business strategy. So again, there's just kind of this race for everyone's like AI this, AI that, and it's, you know, kind of almost overused in my opinion in the industry, where it can be useful for a lot of things, but you want to do it in a way that's secure. A lot of times people are implementing AI with the efficiency and the end goal in sight, but not even thinking about the security implications of it, because they're just like, we want to make this faster and better and to do the thing better, and they don't care about, they're not thinking about security first of what could happen if that system is breached. So that's kind of the issue you're seeing in the industry right now, is there's a rush for AI. Everyone's trying to implement AI to give them a competitive
they want to be the first one.
They want to be the first one to do it. But the problem with that is the first one's not going to be configured in a manner that's secure, probably just because you're rushing it. So take your time with it if you are doing any sort of stuff like that.
Or ask a security professional. How about?
Or that's what I was kind of leading with it, was like, if you want to use AI in your business, hopefully you have an MSP. If you don't have an MSP, reach out to DS Tech. We can definitely help you with that. Basically, it's called data governance. We have to make sure that the AI is only using data that it's allowed. Only people are allowed to query the AI with that proper data, and it's set up in a manner that doesn't use passwords 1 through 6, so that way no one can just break in and get your information and things like that. So security researchers gained access through a test account for this that wasn't decommissioned, and they used the weak password. Worse, their internal penetration testing apparently missed it entirely. So again, it's common that people will have turnover, right? You have this employee left, this employee comes, all that kind of stuff. So typically it's common you just disable the account. You don't want to delete it because maybe you have information about the employee during their work. You don't want to delete it, keep it for archival purposes. But it's very common that people leave them in the groups they were in. You know, this was an old, just using a bank as an example. So you got someone higher up who's like in loan officer type status, not just a teller, and they're in all these different security groups that privileges. Well, once you deactivate the user, remove them from the security group. So that way, even if somehow an attacker managed to reactivate the disabled account, it wouldn't have the access that it had previously because you stripped it of all the permissions. So there's that second step that a lot of people don't do. They just disable the account, move on. Where you should be disabling your account and removing the permissions. It's a little bit more work, but things like that, we will do Active Directory reviews, you know, for your company, for your business. It's ongoing.
It's an onboarding and offboarding process.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so a lot of, again, if you have your internal IT or you're not having a dedicated business managing it for you, a lot of the actual extra steps may be lost, or just they don't have time to do it all because they're trying to do it all themselves. So again, it goes to a bigger pattern credential reuse. In a separate 2025 incident, the Paradox admin in Vietnam used the same 7-digit password across multiple accounts, and those credentials were stolen via malware, and that one reused password gave attackers potential access to systems tied to Pepsi, Lowe's, Aramark, and others. So again, it's not just about systems, it's about habits. As humans, we like to reuse things, stuff like that. So really, again, I can't stress it enough. Use a password manager, use a dedicated, you know, MSP or some IT to have running your business, and reach out if you want someone to help you with this, because it's getting to the point where you don't want to just kind of like talk about all this stuff and you're not actually implementing it. It's time to actually take the steps, implement the systems and practices in place. As I hate to say, as annoying as security can be, because you're implementing extra steps to get things done, it's for a reason. It's to keep you safe, it's to protect your business, it's to protect your customers, it's for everyone's benefit at the end of the day. So kind of the final takeaway is, trust but verify. So closed source AI tools, they could be convenient, but when they're handling sensitive data, such as job applications, security must come first. It's not about the convenience of how can we get more applicants so we get more new hires so we can do this issue we're having with the labor shortage. That should be the end goal. It's like, we're going to take all these minors and potential young people's information. We need to keep secure of all that first. And so that's just where you got to start thinking about
security
that.
first.
Security first
then,
mindset.
Yeah.
And then usually the benefits will come from that. So again, and then as an end user, just be cautious about where you're inputting your personal information, whether it's a chatbot, anything online. I mean, some of this you're going to be kind of forced to use some of it anyway, but just be cautious. Only give up what they request, nothing more, and then give more when they finally ask you for more information.
And then just constantly be aware and use the zero trust policy, right? Trust no one, because it's likely that your data's out there anyway.
Yep. And I mean, I hate to sound silly, and I don't know if this would work. You know, we live in a smaller town, so it probably would work. But my thought is, I go to McDonald's online, they're trying me to do this application screening process. Maybe you could walk into your local branch and just get a physical application. Maybe they don't exist. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know
maybe they don't
either.
even have the printed ones. But I'd be like, I'd ask, like, can I just do this old school way? Can I do it printed copy and give it to you and screen you? Maybe they don't. I don't know. I'm not sure on that. But that would be my thought: is try to avoid, ask if it's possible to not use the system, to use an old way. They, you know, maybe that will help.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll see you as a problem because you're asking questions and not hire you. I don't know, but that's personally probably what I would
Right.
do.
I know
rather than just
Walmart
give all my
doesn't,
information.
because I was standing in the customer service line and I heard somebody ask and they were like,
No.
no, you have to go to the kiosk. And
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah,
okay.
here we go. Yeah. So
So
that's probably
just,
the way it is, but just again, just use the information that they want, nothing more. Hopefully the corporations are securing your information well, and if not, I hate to say it's kind of a start of learning your security journey earlier of like, oh, now I got to reset my passwords. Now I got to reach out to my credit agencies. And it's kind of extremely annoying, but it's kind of an, you know, and hopefully someone doesn't have to deal with that so early in their life, but it could be a potential, you know,
it's a reality.
with any problem, try to look at it as a way to learn and grow from it. And so if this did happen to you and you were applying to McDonald's, well, unfortunately, you just kind of grew up a little bit quicker than some of the other applicants. So
Yeah, I've heard lots of stories, and it's definitely not fun to grow.
No.
You know, to
the growing pains are not fun.
they are not. They're never fun.
No.
You know, we all had. I mean, crap, I have stories. I'm sure you have
Oh yeah,
stories.
I've clicked links,
Totally
I've done
different.
silly things, and yeah, exactly. So,
But even before computers.
Oh, yeah.
Other stories, right?
Yeah.
So we all have growing pains.
Yep.
And yeah, so stay secure. That's the thing.
Biggest
Zero
thing is-
trust.
Yes. And if you did recently put your information through McDonald's and they might have used Paradox AI, it just maybe just think about the information you gave and just be aware of that. You know,
Yep.
it may not hurt to have some sort of credit monitoring and just use the old strategy of get in touch with the 3 credit monitoring bureaus, get accounts for them so you can monitor your stuff. It wouldn't hurt to start doing that sooner than later and just, yeah.
Or even just freeze your accounts, because you can unfreeze them very easily too. So
That's the total best thing to do. Is you're always worried about all these data leaks, this, that, and the other thing. As annoying as it is, basically freeze your account and all the credit bureaus, and then knowing, say I'm going to go buy a new vehicle, get a house, whatever, I need
you
some
just
sort of line of
unfreeze
credit.
it for that day.
You know, so you go unfreeze it for the day,
Yep.
take care of your business, and then refreeze it when you're
Yep,
done. As
that's
annoying as it is, that is the most foolproof way to truly protect yourself.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tim. Good advice. So yeah, drop your questions. And if you need a security scan, free assessment of your network and your business and stuff like that, maybe your procedures of onboarding and offboarding, reach out to us, dstech.net, or drop a comment and drop your questions. We'll see you next time.